Welcome back to the Michigan State Hockey Hub podcast. I know it's been a while since I've recorded. And honestly, last year I started a new job and things just kind of fell apart. It was really hard to get guests that time. So I'm actually changing the format up a little bit this year. I'm going to do shorter episodes, hopefully more frequently, and probably less guests. I would love to have guests. It's just kind of hard to line those up at times working a full time job. But we are back. Your Michigan State Spartans are preseason number 4 overall team. And today on this episode, we're going to walk through the schedule. There'll be another episode walking through the roster, all of the newcomers, the returners, expectations, and then there'll be a third episode all posted before the first game against Lake Superior State. And that third episode will be kind of a more fun predictions and talking about who may lead the team in scoring and a little bit more unserious of a podcast. So let's dive right into it and look through the schedule. But first, let's go ahead and look at the Big Ten standings. These are the Big Ten standings from last year on the top of your screen. And for those who are listening on Spotify, I'll read these off to you. And then below on your screen are the predictions the Big Ten put out, the preseason predictions for the Big Ten standings. So last year, Michigan State, your Michigan State Spartans, gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this still, won the Big Ten tournament as well. 52 points behind them. Number 2 was Wisconsin at 50 points, Minnesota at 3 at 41, Michigan 36, Notre Dame 31, Penn State 27, and Ohio State with only 15 points. Last year, we saw some change. We saw Michigan State, who had been building since Adam Nightingale that first year. You could tell. We always said it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And it came last year, winning the Big Ten. You also saw Wisconsin, a team that was not as strong. They got a new coach, Mike Hastings, and they took off 50 points last year. Of course, Minnesota, Michigan are always going to be in the mix. And Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, like those teams can kind of jump up at any moment. But a really, really, really strong conference last year. And we expect the exact same for this season. We're going to break down each of these as we get into the schedule as well. Big Ten prediction. This is not my prediction. This is the Big Ten media prediction for the order in which the Big Ten will finish. Michigan State Spartans on top. Back-to-back years would be awesome. Man, this program's heading in the right direction. It may already be at that direction, by the way. Minnesota at 2, Michigan at 3, Wisconsin at 4, Notre Dame 5, Penn State 6, Ohio State rounding out at 7. You can tell that bottom 3 is the same: Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State. A little bit of shifting within that middle with Michigan State being the same on top. Like I said, we'll break down each one of these teams to an extent, and hopefully as we go on through the year, we'll get a more expansive breakdown as we learn more about these teams and see them play. But let's go ahead and jump in to the October schedule. And those on YouTube, it is on your screen. Those on Spotify, I'll read them off as well. The Michigan State Spartans are going to open on the road this year, going up north to Lake Superior State. That's Friday, October 4th and Saturday, October 5th. Lake Superior State's a team that, at times they've been good. And I think that they have a, pretty good history and, definitely like a hockey school. Last year, 17, 20, and 1, they finished 7th in the CCHA. The all-time series, Michigan State leads Lake Superior State 75, 38, and 4 record. Last year was an improvement from Lake Superior State. I think that they got a new coach last season, I believe, or maybe no, I think it was 2 years ago. That first year, 2 years ago, that is, they were 9-25 and 2. They improved to 17, 20 and 1. That's a good improvement. That's an 8-win improvement. That's really impressive. They did lose their starting goalie. However, they do have a senior who's in that limited action last year. I believe it was like 6 or 8 games, 934 save percentage. They lost their leading scorer as well, but brought in some transfers, and they are a freshman heavy team. Last year they were a freshman heavy team. So 1 year later, those players are going to have more experience, more strength, and we'll see what they look like. Usually, in years past, this is the type of series that we were like, "Oh, man, Michigan State's opening on the road against one of these teams, like, it could be a struggle," and we've seen them struggle against teams of this caliber not that long ago. This is a different team, a different program that we're talking about now, and I think that Michigan State should get a sweep here. If you're wondering right now, how do I watch these games? I tweeted it out. I put it in the Michigan State Hockey Hub Facebook group as well. If you're unfamiliar with what that is where we have a community of Michigan State hockey fans. You can join it. It's private, so you can post as much as you want. You won't have to worry about it like going on your personal feed and all of your friends seeing it and getting annoyed with you. You can post in there and have discussions. I put the link in there. It's 24.99 for a month to be able to watch these games. I'll pay it. I'm going to be tweeting out and posting in the Facebook group updates for those of you who cannot watch it. So at least you'll be able to follow along. Of course, you can listen on radio as well with Scott Moore, and Woody will be there as well. So that's Lake Superior State. Right after that, you come home, Munn Ice Arena, home opener against Boston College. Man, this is where you want to be. You want to be a program that's having a huge matchup with Boston College because you match their ranking. You were as impressive as they are. Now, it's hard to say that when they beat you last year in both games, but either way, last year Boston College was a juggernaut. 34-6-1, first in Hockey East, and they're bringing back Gabe Perreault, who put up 41 points as a freshman, high draft pick. This team's littered with high draft picks. Ryan Leonard was a top 10 pick, and they have one of the top prospects in James Hagans as well. He's about to be a freshman at Boston College. The thing with them is like they have, and of course I haven't watched them this year, but um, they have a lot of high-end scoring talent. And Michigan State has some too, and Michigan State has depth. Boston College has depth with like first round draft picks and high draft picks and whatnot. Like that's going to be a tough team. Being at Munn should help you. You should lean on your home crowd, sold out crowd. The Munsters, huge shout out to the Munsters. The work that they have put in over the past couple of years to get that student section packed is nothing short of incredible. Tickets are sold out. Like it is the place to be in East Lansing now. And that's what we love to see. Michigan State hockey is back to being that. Last year, Michigan State fell 6-4 on Friday night before a 5-1 loss on Saturday. After that, they do play Windsor, and I honestly just don't know much about them. I don't want to waste too much time talking about a few of these teams. I think that's a W at home for Michigan State. Then you have to go to Buffalo, New York. Canisius is on the schedule there. 12-21-4 last year, 8th in Atlantic hockey. Michigan State's 2-0 against them all time. Let's go ahead and move to 4-0. You could open October, and man, like I hope that they get the split against Boston College at the minimum. You could leave October with only one loss. That would be huge. Going into November, this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting, but I like the way that this is laid out. You start at home, open up against your first Big Ten opponent in Ohio State, Friday, Saturday. Ohio State last year, 14-20-4. Michigan State all-time record against Ohio State is 81-53-13. They lost a couple of their top scorers, brought in a few like grad transfers. Ohio State again finished at the bottom last year, projected finish at the bottom again. They have 7 freshmen, 9 sophomores. The team is young. They're a young team. We'll see what happens there. They did split goalies. Both are back. They have a senior, Terrence. I don't know how to say his last name. Um, he was a 904 save percentage, 3.10 goals against. Then they have the sophomore Eberly, 298 goals against in a .911 save percentage. We'll see what Ohio State looks like. I'm glad that you're opening Big Ten play against them, though. Like, that's the first Big Ten team I want to see. Let's make sure we get our feet under us. After that, Notre Dame, and that's at home as well. Notre Dame 15-19-2 last year, 5th in the Big Ten. Michigan State is 50, 33, and 15 all time. Jeff Jackson, their longtime head coach, this is his final year. It's his final year with the Irish. We'll see what type of motivation that provides for the team. Man, they went 2-8 last year to close out the year. Rough down the stretch. Landon Slaggert's gone, their lead goal scorer. He left last year for the Blackhawks. Michigan State was 3-1 against them. They lost several of their top scorers, actually, but they also had several that were in the top 5 that were freshmen. Young team that's building, added a few transfer. Blake Biondi, probably, from Minnesota Duluth, has 30 career goals, came in as a grad transfer. They have a new goalie situation as well. Nicholas Kempf from the development team is there as a freshman. Owen Say is a transfer from Maryhurst. And they actually have the third goalie there is Jack Williams. He's a former Michigan State commit. So I don't think he'll really play in at all, but he is there. After that, you got the national development team. That's technically on the road, still in Michigan. Of course, that does not really count as an exhibition. Then Lindenwood, kind of a Friday, Sunday series there. Come on, man. You got to win this. They were 6-18-4 last year. December rolls around. December is interesting for several reasons. You start on the road against Wisconsin. Big series. You turn around the next week on the road against Minnesota. Whoa. That is a huge back-to-back weekend. And that could take a lot out of you. The good news, you get a couple weeks off before the GLI there. So I actually like the way that sets up. 2 Big Ten programs who are projected to finish near the top of the Big Ten. You get them early. You get those road games out of the way. You have rest after. I kind of like you should be riding momentum from several wins in the beginning of the year. Wisconsin, 26-12-2 last year, second in the Big Ten. Michigan State was 3-1 against them, 66-64-4 all time. Mike Hastings, their new coach, very well thought of. His name was floated around the time that Adam Nightingale was hired. They're building a lot there. Lost their top scorer and goalie from last year. We'll see what that looks like. Brought in a transfer goalie and has a sophomore goalie as well that should be battling for playing time. They saw their goals per game increase by almost an entire goal last year. So we'll see what year 2 looks like there, but man, that should be another good team. Minnesota last year, 23-11-5, finished third in the Big Ten. Michigan State was 3-1 against them. Michigan State's all-time record is 51-136-17. Jimmy Snugger is back. A lot of people thought he'd go to the NHL. He's back, scored 34 points last year. Oliver Moore, Chicago's first-round draft pick, is also back. A lot of speed there. We'll see if he kind of ups his scoring. And they also brought in a transfer that was a first-rounder in Matthew Wood. Those 3 should be driving the offense. Another first-rounder to Chicago, Sam Renzel, is back on defense, and that blue line is stacked. Everything I've read and heard about Minnesota is that the D-core is elite, and they think it's the best that they've had in some time. They have a couple of different goalies. They brought in a 5th-year transfer from Penn State. They have a sophomore as well who had 3 games under his belt. So we'll see what that looks like. Usually Minnesota gets good goalie play, and behind that defense that's stacked, I'm sure that they'll be fine. Heading to the GLI, baby. Northern Michigan first, 12-16-6 last year, 5th in the CCHA. Michigan State is 31-25-4 all time against Northern Michigan. Listen to this. I want to pause for dramatic effect. 24 of their 28 players are new, brand new to the program. 16 freshmen and 20 underclassmen. What the hell is going on there? It's going to be a young team. Michigan State needs to take advantage there. They just have to. There's no doubt about it. Old friend Jesse Tucker, former Michigan State Spartans. or Spartan was on Clarkson last year. He's now on Northern Michigan, so we'll get to see him again. And from there, you'll play either Michigan Tech or Western Michigan, depending on the results. Okay, let's head into January. January's packed, as it usually is. And this is really when seasons can be kind of a make or break. We saw year one under Adam Nightingale a strong start heading into that holiday break. Kind of faltered a little bit after that, getting into like full Big Ten play. Last year, Michigan State was significantly better than 2 years ago and handled it, just better. You have Wisconsin, and this is that split. So you get Thursday at home. Then you go to Chicago for the Wrigley Field game. I will be at that game. If you are going to that game, please reach out. That'll be a lot of fun. Outdoor games are always funky. We'll talk about that when we get around to January, but that's going to be a really fun series against a good team. Right after that, you go to Penn State. Penn State, 15, 18, and 3 last year, 6 in the Big Ten. Michigan State's 19, 21, and 6 all time against them. Aiden Fink is their best returning forward. He's a legit problem. Like, he's a good scorer. Very good player. We know the Penn State brand, fire pucks on net. They're going to be doing more of that. 9 freshmen and 11 new players. Charlie Sarato is kind of the guy who's, the incoming freshman from the development program, and a lot of people think highly of him. We'll see. I honestly don't know too much about Penn State this year, except for what we saw from last year and kind of what their brand has been. You then have the home and away, or away and home, with Michigan, which I'm realizing I listed twice now on the graphic. Michigan, 23, 15, and 3 last year, 4th in the Big Ten. The all-time record, 142, 177, and 24. A lot of times these teams have played, going back to way back in the day. 3 straight Frozen Fours for Michigan. They weren't the strongest last year, got off to kind of a meh start, and they finished strong and performed once they got to the tournament. They did lose a lot. Gavin Brindley, their leading scorer. Rutger McGroarty went pro, kind of a late decision there. Dylan Duke, Frank Nazar, Seamus Casey, and goalies, like they've lost a lot, but they tend to reload. They tend to do that. They added Will Whitelaw in the portal from Wisconsin, along with some depth, and Logan Stein, who was the goalie at Ferris State, which we've seen him before. He's now at Michigan. Michael Haig is a freshman there, one of the top draft picks. Just a really good player, and we'll kind of see how he looks. You don't know what to expect from freshmen. Sometimes it takes them a while to hit the ground running, like as Isaac Howard, and sometimes they hit the ground running right away. They also have Christian Humphreys, kind of a unique story there. Was committed to Michigan State, then he wasn't. A lot of people thought he was going to be a high draft pick. I think he was 5-star or whatever, and he ended up being a late draft pick. So we'll kind of see what happens with them. After that, Minnesota comes to Munn. And I mean, this January is it scares me in a lot of ways. Obviously, it's all Big Ten. It's a lot of games in 1 month. You got to do the whole to Chicago thing, which has some strange elements to it. You do the home and away deal. You do get Minnesota at home. And then you get another weird Thursday, Saturday type deal with Ohio State on the road. I don't love January. It's a lot. It's a gauntlet. We'll see what happens. Lastly, February, I guess, / March in a way, but you do the home with Michigan, and then you go to Little Caesars in Detroit. That's the start. You get a week off, a little bye week there. Before you get Penn State at home, and then you finish with Notre Dame on the road. Ideally, you're in a position by now, and after that January, that quote unquote bye week, and that second week of February should help a lot. Like, if you need to get healthy, you can get your legs under you again. I mean, at that point, like, we'll know, like, what is Penn State? What is Notre Dame? What does Michigan look like? Like, we'll have a better idea of the opponent and Michigan State, and we'll kinda see what those games look like, but I don't hate the idea of, like, finishing against Notre Dame, especially if they're having a down year or they aren't one of the stronger teams in the Big Ten. Like, I kinda like that in case you need a win here or points, and, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but that's kinda what the schedule looks like. Again, we're gonna start doing this podcast a little bit more frequently, shorter, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, so it's a little bit easier on me, and we'll go from there. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please do all those things. Join the Facebook group. It's a lot of fun discussion in there. Follow along on Twitter as well. I'm Clay Snowden. You've been listening to the Michigan State Hockey Hub. Go Green.